2020, and it's 2 o'clock p.m. So I was, just going about my daily life and doing what I got to do out here in this world. And the Father spoke to me and he was like, "My daughter, I need you to go and give this good word to my children." So I know initially I spoke to y'all earlier. I was on live and I told y'all that I would be back on later to go over the last and final list for tomorrow's random act of kindness giveaway. But when the Father speaks, you got to be obedient and you got to release what it is that He's putting on your spirit to say. So here I am with the word. And the word that He has placed on my heart in this moment is promises come with testing. So now this is for all of y'all that the Father done gave y'all a promise. He done showed you a vision. He done gave you a dream. He done spoke through the universe to bring you this sign. And then you took it back to Him in prayer and you received clarity that it is indeed a promise that He wants you to act on, right? So it could be a trip that you take in. It could be a new job that He has promised you. It could be a sickness that He has promised to cure. It could have been a dream about getting out of debt, or if you're in the stock world, it could be that He is going to do an amazing thing and cause you to sell this stock that's going to make you a whole lot of money, right? So you know that you had this promise and you know that you don't took it back to Him, and you know for sure that it's something that is tangible in that moment, right? Because sometimes He'll give us promises, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's supposed to be fulfilled in hello. Sometimes He'll give you promises and it doesn't mean that it's necessarily supposed to be fulfilled in that moment. So sometimes when He gives you a promise, it might be for the future to come, right? It might be for a year or 2 or 3 years down the line. It might not necessarily be in that exact moment when you have that dream, or that exact moment when you receive that vision, or in that exact moment when you're sitting in church and the pastor is giving you a word through his preaching, right? So sometimes promises are meant to sit on, right? I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. How are you? Sometimes promises is meant for you to sit on, and sometimes thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's really not my words, okay? It is not my words, y'all. I repeat, it is not my words, but it's the Father who speaks through me. So sometimes He gives you a promise and it's meant for you to sit on for a period of time. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I did. I got your email, and I'm gonna go over the list later, so tune in to make sure. Um, but it can never be me. I can never do that. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what y'all going through. So a lot of y'all I haven't even met personally or any of the sort. So I could not never give you a word that's touching you in that exact moment. Only His Spirit can do that, and that's why He's so amazing and He's so gracious, and He's just, He got to be the center of our lives, y'all. He has to be the forefront. You cannot operate. It's a scary thing, okay, to be trying to operate in this realm without the Father's hand, okay, upon you and upon your situation, because it'd be a lot going on in this spiritual realm, a lot going on in this universe, and to be trying to walk around in this thing by yourself, it's a scary place to be. I would not want to be there. So we got to put Him first, and everything we do, we got to put Him first. But back to what I was saying, sometimes He'll give you a promise and it's meant for you to sit on, and sometimes He'll give you a promise and it's meant for you to act on in that moment, right? So after this message is for those that done received that promise in some way, shape, or form, and they done took it back to Him in prayer, and He said, "This is what I want you to do in this moment." So now you start taking the necessary steps and measures in order to fulfill the promise that He has put into your life, because now you know for sure that it's something He wants you to do in that moment, right? And then it could be He done called you to be an entrepreneur, and you done took every dime that you had, okay, and you done invested it in this business venture that without a doubt, and you done prayed about it, and He done gave you confirmation. He said, "Daughter, son, do this," and you did it without a question, without nothing. Once you received that confirmation, it was Him speaking, you moved, right? And so now you done took every dime that you had and you done invested in this thing, all right? And you ain't got nothing for yourself. You ain't got nothing for your family. Everybody looking at you like you crazy because what are you doing investing all your money in this thing? And you just like, I'm standing on his promise because I know that he's going to come through because he gave me this. It wasn't myself. I didn't put this thought in my mind. I didn't tell myself to do this. Like, I know for a fact he is leading me. I wouldn't even do nothing that crazy, if it was up to me. Like, who was going to take every dime they got and invest it in their business? Who was going to take every dime they got and and buy a house? Who's going to take every dime they got and pay off a lawyer because that's what they needed at that moment? Who is going to do that in their right mind? A lot of times when we down to our last is when we try to hold on to it the longest, right? You got all of this money and you spend it freely, carelessly, not a care in the world. But as soon as you get down to that last $150, you like, oh, hold up. Now you're trying to rethink things and recalculate things. And wait a minute, how did I get to this point? Because where did all my money go, right? So whatever it is that he's calling you to do in that moment, to stand on his promise, you done did it. Okay, you done sowed your good seed of faith. And then all of a sudden, after you done did all of this and you done stood on his word and you know that you heard from him, you hear crickets. And it's like complete silence. And then everything starts coming at you, right? Now that you done invested all your money in this business, you done invested your very last hope of love into this relationship. You done prayed your very last prayer you could possibly pray over your child who is running around the streets like they don't have no sense, like you ain't raised them, right? You done did all of this and you done have all of this faith, and now here comes the testing, right? Here comes the testing. Your light bill is due, your cable is due, the rent is due. You got your son who just got arrested after you done received the promise that his life was going to be turned around. Your lights is on the verge of getting cut off. Like, you just got all of these different things coming at you and you like, what is this? Like, I know I done sold in good faith, and what is all of this that's happening? And it's in that moment where he is testing you, okay? Because when he gives you a promise, it ain't, here daughter, here son, this is this promise, and then boom, it happens. No, when he gives you a promise, it comes with testing. So now that you don't got this promise, now that you in the process of fulfilling this promise, now testing gotta come, right? Because he gotta see, is your heart in this thing? When everything ain't confirmed, when everything ain't looking on the up and up, when you don't got all the money that you need, when your kids is on their best behavior, is you still like, what is going to happen? Like, is you going to stand in faith? Is you going to trust me despite what's going on around you? As you going to stand in faith despite what the circumstances is showing you in that moment? As you going to stand in faith when everything and the forces of earth look like it's opposing against you? As you going to stand in faith? Is you still going to stand on my word the same way you did when I first gave you that promise and I gave you that confirmation and you went full head on into it? Now that all of these different tests, and that's where the real trueness and the fullness of his promise comes in at, because when after you done did all of these things that he's calling you to do and you standing in faith and he's sending these tests at you, that's just mind-blowing. Like, Father, where's these things coming from? Like, where, I know you called me to bake this bread, but I ain't got no flour now. I just realized, it's like, where's these things coming from? Because I know you called me to do these things, and I know that I'm standing on faith, and I know this is not my own accord. And he's saying in that moment is when everything matters, right? And that moment is when he's really examining your heart, and he wants to see, do you have a heart after me truly? Do you have a heart of faith? Are you able to stand on my promises when everything don't look good? When everything ain't turning right? When everything ain't in your favor? Are you still willing to stand on that same promise? Are you going to walk away and give up and go cry and fall into bed and roll around and, and have a whole tantrum about this thing because things ain't going your way? He wants to know, are you still going to have that same motivation? Is you going to still have that same energy that you had when I first delivered this promise to you and you were sure about it? Now that things is looking so unsure, now that things is looking so uncertain, what is your move going to be? Because that's what he's looking for. That's what he wants to see. He wants to see, what is your move going to be? What is it going to be? Are you going to still stand Are you still going to still have that same affirmation of strength that, listen, I know this is what he told me? Or are you going to run away and be like, nope, that's it. It ain't work out. I put my all into it, Father. I took it to you. You confirmed it. I'm going crazy. This ain't for me. I must have heard wrong. That's it for me. I'm out. Okay. So are you so able to just so easily walk away? Are you easily turned around from the good promise that he gave to you? Because when he gives you a promise and he delivers it to you, you got to stand on that thing. Even once you receive it, you got to stand on that thing. He can't just, how would you feel if a man just walked into your life and loved you and walked back out? How that work? Like, how you just come into my life for 2 seconds and love me and now you gone? Like, I thought we was in this thing. I thought we got married for the long haul. I thought we was going to work this out through thicker and thin, for better or for worse. I thought we was going to be together forever. So how you just come into my life for a moment and as soon as things get tough, you want to run away? You want to throw in the towel as soon as we have our phone. What's going to happen? We was never going to have an argument. I was never going to have to work late. You was never going to have to raise these kids sometimes in the absence of my presence. You just thought everything was going to be great. You thought these bills was going to be paying themselves our whole marriage. And that I never had to go to work to provide for this family because now we married and you think that I'm supposed to be committed and obligated to you. And vice versa, as a woman. You just thought that, everything was going to be grand. I was going to get stressed out raising these kids. You didn't think that at moments I was going to become so overwhelmed that I felt like I was losing myself in this thing. You didn't think it was going to be trying moments because you said I do. Just because you said I do, it doesn't stop life. It doesn't change life circumstances. Life still continues to happen, but it's not a matter of life happening. It's a matter of what are you going to do? And your next decision is your best decision. So that's the determining factor of how your life will continue to play out, right? Because if you're just gonna give up and you're gonna walk away and throw in the towel because he ain't say good morning, to you, like what is that? What is that? It's more than just what you expect things to be. And that's why we have to live beyond our expectations. We can't just have an expectation and think that, okay, this is the expectation I got and it's going to be met. It don't work that way. It don't work that way. If you have an expectation, it doesn't necessarily mean things is going to go the way you expect them to go. It would be nice if they did, right? It would be nice if everything that we expected to happen, it happened exactly how we expected it, but that's not life and that's not the way things work out. And so we have to learn to get away from our expectations, to lay down ourselves for his greater purpose and follow after him. And I was just saying this earlier. Following after him is no walk in the park, y'all. It is not for the faint of heart, let me tell you. Following after him will have your tears running out so much you didn't even know that you had so many tears in your body. Following after him will have you sweating worse than you probably would have been sweating in a cotton field. Following after him. Okay. I am back. Okay. All right. I'm back. My battery died, y'all. I had to get it together real quick. And I seen the screen going dark, and I was like, what is happening here? Why is the screen going dark like this? My battery was dying, and I knew it was dying, but I ain't put it on charge. But anyway, getting back into the message, we got to stand on his promises, and just because he gives you a promise does not mean that everything is going to be peaches and cream. It's like not having no legs, right? And then you go and you get fitted for these artificial legs, and then now the big day comes and you get a chance to stand up in these legs, right? When you put them legs on and you stand up in them legs, you have to own those legs like they belong to you, right? They have to become a part of you. You got to learn how to walk in them legs. You got to stand firm in them legs. You got to be like, yep, I know it ain't really my legs, but guess what? They mine now because they was fitted just for me. So I'm going to put these legs on, and me and these legs is going to become sync as if they was born attached to my body, right? And his promises is the same exact way. That promise that he gave you is fitted for you. It was created just for you. He put that thing in your mind, in your vision, in your heart, within your sight, in that specific moment, in that specific time, for you to be fulfilling of that promise. And just because testing comes, just because obstacles are thrown in your path, and you got hurdles that you might have to jump over, and you now facing a mountain, it's in that moment that you got to look at that mountain and you got to say, you got to make a decision. It's like a crossroads, right? It's like being at a crossroad in your life. You got to look at that mountain and you can say two things to that mountain. You could either say, you too big for me to climb, and turn around and go the opposite direction, or you can say, I'm going to climb that mountain. I'm going to get to the top, right? And so who you think is going to be victorious out of that situation? The one that looks at the mountain and says, look, you too big for me, I got to go. Or the one that looks at that mountain and says, you know what, I'm going to climb this mountain, I'm going to get to the top. That's going to be the one standing, right? The one that makes it to the top of that mountain is going to be the one that's going to be able to appreciate the climb that it took to get to that point. It's going to appreciate the dirt and the mud and the wildlife and the trees and poison ivy and whatever else is in the mountains that I don't want to have nothing to do with, okay? Because I love animals, but from a distance, right? And I love, little interruption, but from a distance, right? I don't want to necessarily be engulfed in that, right? But anyway, it's then at that moment when you reach the peak of that mountain and you can look down at all the glory that surrounds you, right? You're breathing a different type of air up there. The view is breathtaking. It's not a view that you would get from the ground. And any of y'all mountain climbers, and I never climb no mountain, but any of y'all mountain climbers that does this on a regular, you know what it's like once you climb that mountain and you get to the top. It's like no reward that anyone could ever give you, right? The sight that your eyes are beholding is no sight that you can ever get from a ground standpoint. Sometimes you got to stand on top of that mountain to appreciate the earth and all that's in it. It gives you a different appreciation for the environment. It gives you a different appreciation for life. And it gives you a different appreciation for yourself because you look at yourself and you say, oh my gosh, I did it. I did it. Despite how big this mountain looked to me, I took on the braveness of it all and I climbed it, and look, I reached the top through all the obstacles of these woods and the bears and the tigers or whatever else is living in the woods, snakes. Oh my gosh. Right? Despite all of that, you persevered, you triumphed, and you reached the top, and you was able to look down and see all of the glory. And in that moment, it was worth everything you had to go through to climb. It was worth it. It was worth sweating and getting hot and feeling like you wanted to come out your skin and drinking, 1,000 pounds of water. Like, it was all worth the effort once you reach the top and you able to appreciate all that you have been given in that moment. When we stand on his promise and we don't waver in that promise and we stand in the faith of what that promise is, once that promise is finally fulfilled in your life, you just sit back and you kick your feet up, right? Have you a glass of wine or a cup of water, if you saved and sanctified, and you just appreciate everything that has been handed to you as a result of standing on his word, standing on his promise, having faith, believing, trusting. And a promise doesn't mean that everything's going to be all grand, and because he gave you this promise that now life is great. That ain't how it works. Because guess what? Half the battle has already just begun once he gives you that promise. Now, you can rest assured the test is in a triumph. It's going to come your way. I'm sorry, getting interruptions. A test and a trial is going to come your way. You can bet your last $2, your last 2 cents, that a test is going to come your way. Okay? The moment that he says, this is the promise, boy, oh boy, you best to be ready because it's coming. And it's not the devil, okay, trying to stop you. It ain't, whatever. Everybody want to just, the devil. The devil don't have nothing to do with it, okay? It's him testing you to see where your faith is. Where your faith is. Are you going to believe? Just like Job was tested. Everything was stripped from him. Job was tested. Everything was stripped from him. Everything. I mean, this man couldn't get a break. He had boils. The kids done died. Like, everything that could possibly go wrong in Job's life, it went wrong. Right? The moment that promise was sent to him, it was like, and I don't even think he had a promise. I think he was just minding his business in his promise, okay? Because he had already had this amazing life going on. And that just goes to show that just because, like I was just saying, just because you receive the promise doesn't mean that it's it. That's it. You ain't got to do nothing else. Kick your feet up. No. You still got to sustain that promise. You still got to stay in prayer. You still got to work to protect that good thing that was given you. It ain't over just because you receive it. Just like it wasn't a walk in the park to receive it, it's not going to be a walk in the park to keep it. That's like getting wealth, like getting money, Like, just because you obtain wealth, you think that if you just obtain wealth, you could just sit back on your couch and kick your feet up and never got to do nothing else again because now you wealthy? You would look around and you would be broke because your wealth would be diminishing very quickly because guess what? You putting out more than you getting in. And it's only a matter of time before you exhaust your funds. So once you get to that status and you're able to be comfortable in life financially, you have to do what it is that you was doing to receive that wealth. Or, switch gears or change lanes or whatever, but you still have to be doing something to continue that road of wealth, right? It don't just keep generating on its own just because now you got wealth and you ain't got to do nothing in life. No, you still have to put your good foot forward. You still got to put effort into that thing. You still got to think of creative ways that you can still keep generating this wealth. If you got a restaurant, right? You still got to think of ways of how can I make this dish different? How can I make it more interesting? What can I add to the menu? What do I need to take away? What do the customers like? What they don't like, right? So it's this constant reevaluation and reassessment that has to be done. It ain't just you get it and now that's it and life is great. That would be nice if it worked that way, but it don't work that way. And I will say that it takes a lot of courage to stand on promise. It takes a lot of faith. It takes a lot of tears. It takes a lot of patience. And most importantly, it takes a lot out of you. It takes a lot out of you. And you have to find a way to replenish all that's being taken away. Because if you don't replenish all that's being taken away in some way, shape, or form, you're going to find yourself depressed, angry, mad at the world, cursing out innocent people who never did nothing to you. You have to find an outlet, whether to get your mind off of, what's going on. Whether it be to get a self-help book or maybe you just need to spend time driving down the highway and not thinking about nothing, just enjoying the breeze and the coolness of the air. Maybe you need to go take a moment and go vacation in the mountains or something. Maybe you just need to call your grandmother and have a conversation with grandma because, grandma's always there to hold us when we fall, right? And even if she's no longer in this life, maybe you just need to sit in the presence of nature and just feel her all around you because, the passing of someone is not the end of that person. They just become a part of everything that surrounds us, right? They become a part of the universe. They become a part of the air that we breathe and the trees that we see and the life that we feel. The force that's within us is now governing them on a different level. And it hurts so much to lose someone because you can't see them no more. It's that physical separation that hurts the most. It's not the fact that they're dead. Oh my gosh, I'm not, It's not so much that aspect of it, but it's more so the physical separation of not being able to call that person and have a conversation with them, not being able to hear their voice, not being able to pop up on them and just enjoy their presence, not being able to see their smile or enjoy certain food dishes that they once prepared. So it's those physical moments that we miss about a person and we wish we can have. We wish we can have it back. But I feel like when you begin to understand that their presence became different. It's in a different aspect now. No longer is it physical, but now it's spiritual. That's when your whole perception of grieving, your whole perception, I don't even know why I'm going here because this is so totally unrelated. But Father, have your way. Have your way. Speak to the hearts of those that you need to speak to. And so when we understand death from that standpoint. We're able to accept the fact that things just have changed a little bit, right? Not that they no longer exist and poof, be gone, and that's the end of them forever, but that it just changed. The story changed. It's still the same story, but the narration of the story just changed a little bit, okay? So grandma's still with you, but now she's a part of your breath that you breathe. And how much more amazing is that you can experience grandma from the standpoint of being able to breathe her, right? You may not be able to taste her cooking no more, but you can look at the trees and see her spirit, right? You can look at the butterfly and see the creation and the creator that created her and know that she is a part of this creation that you see every day all around you. If you lost a child, it's the same sense, like, and I'm a mom. Okay, and I will say that once upon a time, before I came to this knowledge, I just always said, man, like, I don't know how parents are able to deal with the fact of losing a child. I can never understand, nor would I ever want to understand what that feels like. But when you think of it in terms of my child is no longer physically here, but my child is spiritually here, it's like, it's just amazing. It's just an amazing and different experience to look at it from that perspective. To know that I don't have to worry about this child being harmed in this world no more. It's not a burden on my shoulders to know that I have this being that I can't do nothing to protect anymore because they're grown. I don't know what their life would be like. I'm so afraid the way things is going in this world. And now I got to worry about my child being raised in this world. Everything happens for a reason, and everything is for his purpose. It's for his purpose. It's like when you become one with your significant other, when you become one with your kingdom spouse, your African king, like I like to say. When you become one with that person, and the Father brought me this phrase. He said, it's you and him and you and him. Right? So it's basically your spouse becomes one with you, you become one with your spouse, and y'all both become one in the supreme being, the Father of heaven, the creator of all things. And what better marriage is that? I want that marriage. I want that marriage. I want that type of relationship. I want that type of unity. I want that type of strength that I've never seen on this earth. I want that type of harmony and sync with someone. To become one flesh and then one in the Father, it's nothing. It can't possibly be nothing no greater than that. Especially when you done been through these ran down relationships and they done dragged you through the mud, took you through the ringer. You done lost both your boots and half your shirt is ripped off. You got your hair half falling out. Your edges is bald. You got all of these things going on because you done got beat down in these relationships. You done got beat down to the core in these relationships. And it's just no greater love than to experience the love that the Father has for us, and to experience the unity and the person that he has for you, who is specifically for you, who he created for you, a person that you don't have to try to change, you ain't got to argue with, you ain't got to curse him out, you ain't got to throw him out every 5 minutes, or you with a woman and you got to constantly beg her of how to treat you, how to respect you. Right? How to be a woman and cook for you at night when you come home. Like, it's just so, the relationship is so different when you don't have to battle. It's not a battle. Everything is just with ease. Right? You just work together. You flow together in harmony so well. And it's unforced. You don't have to force the relationship. You don't have to force the situation. You don't have to force them to love you. Force them to come home. Force them to be a part of a family, or force them to even want a family. Some people in relationships, and the man's like, I don't want no kids, or the woman in the relationship, and she's like, I don't want no kids, and you like, man, like, this is somebody I thought I was gonna spend the rest of my life with, and here it is. Now you telling me you don't want no kids? Like, what part of the game was that? Where did that come from? I thought that we had the same goals, the same ambitions, the same dreams. I thought that we got married and this is the end all be all. But not knowing all along that you got married outside of his will. It wasn't his will for you to marry that person. It was your own. And as a result of you stepping into your own will and taking your own way and trying to make your own way straight, it caused you a lot of heartache, a lot of pain, a lot of failure, and a lot of emptiness. And now you find yourself trying to put those pieces back together. You find yourself trying to rebuild what was torn down as a result of your own doing. Not his, but your own doing. It's what you wanted. It's all about you, what you seen fit, what you needed. And it was never about, is this what he has for me? Is this the person for me? You know? And I don't even know why I went into all of these different topics. Like, I don't. I do not. I just was out here minding my business, I promise y'all. I was out here minding my business and running to get some aluminum foil so I could finish dinner for these kids who I love so much, who the Father has blessed my whole entire life and my being with. Right? And so I was just out here trying to do what I got to do for my kids as a mom. And he was just like, daughter, give this word. So I was like, okay, Father, I'm obedient. That's what I do. So I came and I gave it. And I hope that it touches the lives of those that it was meant to touch. I hope that it's a healing word, a rhema word, a given word, and a word of deliverance. And I will see y'all in a few because it is 2:38 p.m. And I got to run and complete my business for the day because my business is still going on. I got a daycare to run. So I'm going to go and I'm going to do what I got to do. And I'll see y'all in a few with this last and final list. Last and final list, okay? Last and final list. I'm going to repeat this because I'll be answering questions and I'll be making things, I'll be thinking I'm making things so clear and people will come ask me the same exact question that I just answered. So last and final list, okay? I'm not doing no more I'm not doing no more list validations after this point. I'm doing this last and final list. So if you want to partake in this $100 reward of random act of kindness challenge, then you need to go ahead and you need to hurry up and go out and do your random act of kindness and submit it to my email, melodyskills@ymail.com. And I would say I'm going to give y'all until, let me see, because it's going to take people time probably to come catch this video. So I would say about 8 p.m. tonight, okay? 8 p.m. tonight I am going live, and I am going to review the list for the last time, and that's going to be it. So whoever gets it in, who don't, sorry about it. And I wish you nothing but blessings, and I just pray that whoever this financial contribution, this seed, this reward, however you want to consider it, or what it is for you and what it means to you in your life, that whoever receives it, that they truly, truly, truly need it. That they truly need it, or they're truly applying it to something that's rewarding and fulfilling for them. Because y'all just have been out here showing up and showing out and putting y'all best foot forward and making somebody else's life better. So I truly hope that this $100 makes your life better. And I will see y'all on the next video at 8 p.m. Y'all, I will be going live to do this last list. And until then, I'll see y'all later.